What's up, y'all? Miss Megan Liana here, and we are back. It is our Sunday sound off. Be fucking for real, the home of unfiltered takes, unapologetic truths. What can I say? If it is something going on, we're going to be talking about it, okay? Whether it's politics or whether it's losses. And somebody that took a big loss this week is Drake, okay? He took a double loss because UMG and Kendrick Lamar basically kicked his ass in court this time. So his case against UMG and Kendrick Lamar was dropped. Now, this stems from the Not Like Us record. And I think Drake is probably the first rapper to ever lose a beef and then sue for it. Hence proving why he is not like us. But a little bit of the facts. Okay, so this was based off of him saying that um that Kendrick Lamar calling him that pedophile line, saying certified lover boy, certified pedophile, and Not Like Us was defamation. Basically, it was saying that uh, he also was claiming that, now it's a lot. Now I'm going through my notes. So basically, he said that he was suing UMG because he argued that they were using the song Not Like Us to intentionally harm his brand. Now, at the time the beef started, Drake was in the process of negotiating a new deal with UMG. Supposedly this happened when the beef started, right? So that's the first part. Then he was basically saying that the machine that UMG was basically working against him to push the Kendrick Lamar song Not Like Us. So he was saying they were using bots, using the machine, all that other stuff. Now, what the judge said is that Drake's claim was lacking a valid defamation claim, right? So that's the first part. And another thing that he said was basically lyrics and disses that are exchanged in a rap beef is not interpreted as literal fact. So basically, it's like, yeah, y'all be joking, y'all be talking shits, but y'all just shooting the shits. It's a rap beef. And again, Drake has to be the first rapper ever. Now, I love me a good rap beef, okay? I've always I grew up during the Nas Jay-Z beef, you know what I mean? The Death Row beef. I remember when Tupac was dissing on Toss It Up when Tupac was dissing Dr. Dre because Dr. Dre left Death Row. I remember these things. And I remember, once upon a time when there was a rap beef, you literally had to wait months sometimes for a response, or you would have to wait till whatever DJ, if it was like a West Coast DJ, somebody on the West Coast would play it, or Funkmaster Flex. I remember there was a time where during the Jay-Z Nas rap beef, when Jay-Z actually lost the beef, I remember listening to that playback from the radio where the DJs was like, nah, this ain't it. I remember that verbatim. Not verbatim, but you know what I'm saying. It's very clear in my mind what happened. And it's I think part of my issue with Drake is that Drake has been an industry bully. What Drake did to Meek Mill. Now, honestly, I think the way Drake won that Meek Mill beef, I really, really think that a part of that was bullying. It was for sure bullying. And I think he only got away with it because it was Meek Mill. Even though Drake is very lame-ish. Meek Mill is lamer. And it was also, Meek Mill started that beef. Like, it was when he was with Nicki Minaj. They had whatever they had going on. And you could tell whatever beef that Meek had for Drake, it wasn't well thought out. It wasn't well planned. He kind of just went for him. And then Drake did what he needed to do and he won. But this Kendrick Lamar beef was different. And another issue with that was in their back and forth, like, I don't think a lot of people remember that Drake told Kendrick to come at him for talking to younger girls. Like, Drake said when he had his Tupac voice, bring up the younger girls. I can't remember the exact line because I really hated the Taylor Made song. But he told him to use that against him. So it's like, you can't say, hey, come at me. Because again, he was taunting Kendrick Lamar too. When Kendrick Lamar did not respond accordingly or as fast as he felt that he should, Kendrick Lamar kept taunting him and kept taunting him. So it's like, you got all the disses. But on top of that, another thing that Drake did that came up in the case is that, he made claims that Kendrick Lamar wasn't the father of his son and that he beat his wife. Like, he made very, very defamatory claims against Kendrick Lamar as well. And the only difference is it couldn't be proven. And that's what also irritated me about this case is, like, in the discovery, the items that that Drake was requesting of Kendrick Lamar, like, he wanted to see his contracts, he wanted to see the splits, the dates that things were signed, and at one point he even wanted to see if there was like alleged text or something about the paternity of his kids, or he wanted to see the messages between Dave Free and Kendrick Lamar. And it just got to the point where it's like he was being a legal bully and he got slapped around. And the thing is that Drake, excuse me, Drake can never, ever go back to playing that kind of tough guy role. Like, he likes to play this tough guy Canadian, and you hear it a lot in his songs, and you want Guat, like he tries to talk with the patois or whoever he's cosplaying as. And I think the real thing that the beef did with Kendrick and Drake was that Kendrick Lamar pulled the costume off of Drake and exposed him to everybody. And not only did he expose him to everybody, he ran him off from basically even working with Southern acts anymore. Since he called him out for being a dirty South colonizer, you ain't seen Drake work with nobody in the ATL. He has now crossed over to working back with artists in the UK. And he still hasn't had a hit. And that's another thing is, like, they always say, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Drake going against UMG, knowing the machine that they are, what is that going to do for his future contracts and his future music? Like, realistically, Drake has to go back to being Drake with the melodies, because one part of Drake's core fan base is women. Bitches love Drake. And Drake, R&B Drizzy is that guy. Like, Drake, to me, when Drake came out, like, people would talk about how he was the first one to, like, make it okay for dudes to be sensitive again. And somehow, after the Meek Mill beef, he began to think he was someone he's not. And that's kind of where his wires got crossed. I really think if Drake took time to refresh and rebrand, take the L. Because here's the thing, like, one thing about, the beef with Jay-Z and Nas is that, at one point Nas even signed under Jay-Z, and they were able to do music together and work together. And, it beef is beef, right? Like it's rap beef, and yeah, you know, sometimes you could lose your career over it. We see what happened with Ja Rule and 50 Cent. That's another one where it's like 50 Cent kind of bullied him, but he also pulled some of the mask off of Ja Rule, and he just made the public perception of Ja Rule different and softer. And that's the thing, is like once the public perception changes of your musical brand, that's where shit starts to hit different. And another person I think that we're going to see shit starting to hit different for is Taylor Swift, because Taylor Swift just released her new album, and I swear to God, I never thought I would see so many white women upset with her and her microaggressions. And the thing is, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, right? So I didn't even know she had a new album coming out. I feel like she just had her last album that came out. But white women did a great job of holding her accountable for her shit. Like, I was actually surprised, but once they pointed it out, I was like, damn, what's this girl's problem? And then more info came out, and I was like, I think I figured out when the shit started. So let walk with me here, okay? So in this picture above me, that is Taylor Swift. That is her fiance, Travis Kelce. And that is his ex, Kayla Nicole. She's beautiful, by the way. Now, and yes, she's black, because Travis Kelce only dated black women before he got with Taylor Swift. And what she did in her new album was take shots at his ex. Now, his ex, she's a media personality, but she's no Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, and to a lot of people, there really was no need to go after her, because going after her really, it's kind of like kicking somebody when they're already down. Like, let's say if you have the upper hand, why do you need to hammer down on somebody else? Especially, you know, Taylor Swift has her fan base, and with her fan base, they are constantly harassing this woman in her comments and in her DMs. But the issue is the lyrics. And so I am going to go over some of these lyrics. Now, one of the songs is called Opalite. And we know what opal is. It's that pretty, you know, white colored jewel, right? And she is comparing opalite to onyx, and we know onyx is a black jewel, okay? But she says in her chorus, and that's when I told you it's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strike, sleepless in the onyx night. But now the sky is opalite. Oh, 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 my Lord. Never met no one like you before. You had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. That's that song. And then there is another song, Eldest Daughter, right? And this is what got me. So, Eldest Daughter, part of that chorus, she says, but I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage. Now, let's first look at this bad bitch comment, right? Now, when you hear the term bad bitch, you automatically think of black women. Like, black women are usually referred to as bad bitches, baddies. They refer to themselves as that. Even when you think of, you know, how bad bitch is branded, you know what I mean? A lot of times, if you see, it's very rare. I've never heard of a white woman referred to as a bad bitch. I've heard of black women and Hispanic women of color, but never a white woman. So that was the first part of that, where people were like, what is she talking about? But then when you think of, like, let's take it a step further, right? So when she got with Travis Kelce, there were a lot of comparisons of Kayla, his ex Kayla Nicole, to Taylor Swift. And a lot of that comparison was he had this bad bitch right here, but then he gets with the rich white girl. So it's like that's the upgrade, is that he went from the bad bitch to the rich white all American girl. And again, these aren't my opinions. I am just stating what, the common consensus and what was pretty much said. And so but one thing that showed me is that, a lot of times when people say they don't pay attention to the comments, and oh, I don't listen to that, I don't know what's being said online, and it's like, no, these people do pay attention to the comments. They do see what's going on online. They listen, and they see it, they hear it, and I'm pretty sure they compare themselves to it. But another thing that came out with respect to, like, this whole bad bitch thing, right, is, and the microaggressions towards Black women, is that her exes, a few of her exes have ended up with Black women. So first you have Harry Styles. Harry Styles is reportedly dating Zoe Kravitz. There's another one, Tom Middleton. He's with Zawe Ashton. And then there is also her ex, Calvin Harris, who is married to Vic Hope. Very beautiful Black woman, by the way, I must say. But you can't tell me on some level the fact that all of her men end up with Black women, and the fact that her ex used to only date Black women and now she has him, and she's the fiance. You can't tell me on some level, like, that makes her feel like giddy inside because she finally has the guy. But another thing that stood out, and this is my own dissertation, right? Because when she talked about that Savage line, so Savage is the song by Megan Thee Stallion. The remix is with Beyonce. Now, another thing is that during the Eras tour, she was on tour at the same time Beyonce was on tour, right? Follow me. Now, the Swifties and the Beehive kept putting up videos online comparing Beyonce to Taylor Swift and their show, their stage presence, their dancing, their singing, all that shit, right? Now, let's be real. Talent wise, Taylor Swift cannot hold a candle to fucking Beyonce. Nobody can hold a candle to Beyonce. Let's be real. But Taylor Swift to me is, the poster child of excelled mediocrity, right? Like, she's not the best singer, she's not the best dancer, she's stiff. And another thing is that there's a level of, like, sexuality and sensuality that, as a woman in her 30s, she has never exuded and does not possess. And I think any woman who hasn't tapped into their sexuality, but they're compared to women that have, I think that adds another level of insecurity. And again, I'm not blaming Taylor Swift for what or who people compare her to. That has nothing to do with it. But I will add that I think the Beyonce comparisons fuck with her a little more, because never forget, Kanye West ruined Taylor Swift's moment at the VMAs when she won the award, and he was like, Beyonce had the best video of all times. Taylor Swift's whole career has been somehow in the shadow or the comparison of a Black woman, an amazing Black woman that somehow I feel like reflects her mediocrity to herself. And I think that it's easy to, brush it off, but it's because she never got the guy, or, now she finally has the guy and she's not seeing him leave for a black woman. It's like, no, he had all these black women and now he chose her, and he's marrying her. And shout out to Yaquisha. She says this is all Kanye's fault. It is. I blame Kanye. Like, if there was a butterfly effect, right? I believe that if he would have never compared her to Beyonce that night, I don't think we'd be seeing these microaggressions right now. And I don't think that there would have been a lyric for Savage. But I will say, seeing all those white women and their dissertations about Taylor Swift and her microaggressions, I never knew white women got it. Like, as a black woman in corporate America, I never knew that and maybe this is a new thing. Like, maybe they've just now become more self-aware. So, maybe because black women have been more vocal about what those microaggressions look like, white women are not afraid to call out Taylor Swift on her microaggressions. But it reminds me of, when there was a conversation about man versus bear, and women had to choose between, if they were alone in the woods, would they want to be around the man? Who would they choose to be alone with, the man or the bear? And a lot of women chose the bear. But then black women were asked if they had to choose between being in a boardroom with a white man or a white woman. A lot of times a black woman chose the white man because they knew that the white woman would be a lot more savage than the white man. And they knew who the ally could be. Even I know that shit. And so it makes me wonder if they can call out these microaggressions on a Taylor Swift album with just fucking lyrics. I hope that they will use that same allyship in the fucking boardroom and in corporate America, or when you see it at school or in social settings. Like, the microaggressions happen quite frequently. And a lot of times I thought white women didn't notice it. But now that I know that they do, I hope and pray that they will do a better job at being more vocal about it. Because it's clear, and anytime that a white woman can say she doesn't know, this Taylor Swift conversation was too fucking viral for a white woman to not know and to not be aware. So, with that being said, I hope that there is change in some of these dynamics, because if a white woman can notice that Taylor Swift is displaying microaggressions through a chorus or a song title, she damn sure can notice it in her everyday life. So let's work on that allyship, and not just with a celebrity that you don't even know or could talk to. It matters in real life. Another thing that matters in real life is the consequences and repercussions of facts versus opinions. And I just heard more about what happened with Kyren Lacy this week. And part of the reason why I learned about that is because Facts of the Case came out. Now, I remember when everything was like happening, and I remember when he unalived himself, but now that the facts are out, it's just a completely different story now. Excuse me. So Kyren Lacy, last year, he was accused of causing a fatal car crash. And it was towards the end of last year, and then he had to turn himself in January. He turned himself in January, bailed out. Then he ended up unaliving himself in April of this year, and it happened the day before the grand jury was supposed to convene and hear about his and decide on his case, and I guess his charges. This week, his lawyer, and he got a damn good lawyer. This week, his lawyer released a tape with some key information. So I'm just going to play a clip of this.
At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
And that's the thing. Like he said, that's not how the story was painted. There was also video that was released where it shows the police officers that were on the scene were telling witnesses to just list his car as the car that caused it. Now, there is some video where people are saying that he caused it. There's another video where people were saying that it was a woman that caused it, and after the accident he swerved into the other lane to avoid getting hit or something. Basically the DA and the defense both feel that the state doesn't have a case, and the evidence shows that he did not cause the accident nor the impact. What stuck out for me this week was a sports commentator, Jack Mack, who is with Barstool Sports. He had to give an apology, and he had to apologize for his comments that he made when the accident happened. And part of and of course his comments were, saying how guilty he was, all this other shit. The tweet, and he put it on Twitter, the tweet that he put out, it got 9 million views. So that got 9 million views, and no telling how many more people were commenting on it. And again, on social media, this is a place where, you can directly talk shit to a person. Like, it's not like, people don't at people when they say stuff, or people don't leave comments on their social media pages. Social media, it makes it very personal to contact somebody and talk to somebody. And it's so important to speak on facts. And it's so important to refrain from such harsh judgments before the facts are out. Because right now, this guy is basically saying, "Oh, sorry, I should have waited until all the facts came out before I said something." This kid killed himself. And he killed himself because of all the pressure. And of course, the guilt, because somebody did pass away from that accident, and the world and the nation feel like you're responsible for it. So that guilt, and knowing, then you find out after the fact that he's innocent. Like, the tapes prove that he's innocent. And it's so sad that he didn't have the strength to wait out the judgment to be proven innocent. But the fact that even there is a police officer that was coercing people to just say he did it in their witness statements, that's fucking tampering with evidence. That's setting somebody up. And it's like, for one, that officer needs to be held responsible, but people that call themselves journalists, media personalities, commentators, you, me, we have to be responsible with some of the things that we say, because it's so easy to dogpile on somebody at their lowest moment. And It's kind of similar to what's going on with like Megan Thee Stallion and her case against Aiden Ross and DJ Academics. Those two streamers where they said that, you know, she didn't get shot and all this other stuff, and even how she won against Milagro. All these people who were speaking bad about her, who got paid to speak bad as well. Like, that's another thing. A lot of people are taking money to promote certain messages. And the problem is, yeah, there's freedom of speech, but you can't just lie on people. Number one. Number two, if you're lying on somebody or you don't have the facts on it, you can't allow your opinion to be stated as fact. And you can't allow your opinion to overcompensate for the truth. And that's the problem now, is a lot of people don't care about the facts. People don't care about the facts. People don't care about what's what. It's just a matter of being the first to have the most outlandish opinion, and being the first person to say like the meanest shit. And you know, Jack Mack, I hope I'm saying his name right. I could be saying something wrong. I don't know, but he's on Barstool Sports. He has a history of just blurting shit out online and really fucking up people's lives. Like, there was one woman he spoke on who he said was having an affair or sleeping with somebody's father, and then after the fact, it came out he did not know what he was talking about. There was another instance where he spoke on somebody, and just because you have the platform and the ability to like say shit and you have a lot of followers, you do have to have some sort of a responsibility to watch your mouth. I said that I did an episode just a couple weeks ago about minding your mouth, because I really feel we're in a time where people just want to blurt out whatever the fuck they want, and there's no consequences, there's no repercussions, because it's under the umbrella of freedom of speech, but freedom of speech does have a price. There are costs to running your mouth about any and everything. And I would hate to be somebody who was talking so bad about Kyren Lacy that he ended up unaliving himself just to find out he's innocent. Like, we have to allow the courts and the justice system to proceed accordingly and let facts come out. Because all these facts came out and come to find out he was innocent. A lot of people need to do better. But I do like when some people, you know, run their mouth a lot, because I just learned a new word this week. And the word of the week is plenary authority. Let's take a look at who brought this lesson to us.
You've called the district judge's ruling blocking the deployment of National Guard in Oregon legal insurrection. Does the administration still plan to abide by that ruling?
Well, the administration filed an appeal this morning with the Ninth Circuit. I would note the administration won an identical case in the Ninth Circuit just a few months ago with respect to the federalizing of the California National Guard. Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority.
Stephen? Stephen? Hey, Stephen, can you hear me? It seemed, Stephen, I apologize. It seems like we're having a technical issue. We'll
It's the glitch for me. Dead ass. Okay, so the word of the week is plenary authority, which is a complete and absolute power to take action on a particular issue with no limitations. It is derived from the Latin term plenus, meaning full. full authority. That is what these people think that they have. And that is why they're doing whatever the fuck they want right now. This guy, Stephen Miller. And a lot of times I watch the news and I get really, really irritated because, like, to me, it's like, even like how there's another no Kings protest. I have said before, we don't need a no Kings protest when we don't have a king. This is literally a guy that is voted in, that we, the people, through our Congress and the courts, have the means to take all this power from and to balance this power. Tia Quisha says these motherfuckers ain't playing by the rules at all. At all. At all. Like, they're not playing by the rules. They don't care about the rules. And they literally they have done so much research as to how to get away with this shit. I don't even know if they've actually done the research. I just think that they just have, it's like they're drunk with power and nobody is standing up to them. So they're just, I feel like they're going to take it as far as they can fucking go. They have no consequences for what they do. And they have no constitutional balances right now. And what drives me crazy is the whole point of the Constitution was to prevent this shit from happening. And to have the Congress, Senate, the representatives, the courts, everybody just goes along with whatever this guys want. And it's like, they really do have plenary authority. They really are getting away with doing whatever they want. And part of the issue too is like, the only thing that is adding a little bit of balance to what is happening right now is the judicial system. Those are the state and federal courts and that fucking Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court is where shit gets faulty, because the Supreme Court already reduced the power of the federal district courts. And if you don't remember, and that's the thing, it's so much has happened this year. It's so hard to keep up with everything. But in June of this year, the Supreme Court ruled that federal district courts do not have the authority to issue nationwide injunctions. So basically, at one point, at least when it went to federal court, they would put an injunction or a stop, and then shit would stop. They would use the federal authority to say, hey, you can't send all these troops to this state, and not only can you not send it to this state, you can't do this in the country. But the Supreme Court got rid of that. And that's part of the problem, is that even the Supreme Court, which is like that last line of defense, they're all in cahoots with him too. And it just gets to the point where it's like, the only thing that can stop it is possibly Republicans getting a backbone. But they don't even have that right now. And on top of that, we're in a fucking government shutdown. And even with the government shutdown, that's another thing that is fucking crazy, because the government has literally been shut down since October 1st. And part of the shutdown, or the main thing that they're saying with the shutdown, is that it's because of the health insurance subsidy cuts. Now, Republicans want to completely make the cuts for the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, and the Dems are fighting to keep them, because as soon as they make these cuts the insurance premiums of Americans are going to double. And we're living in such weird times right now that I am actually in agreement with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know what's happened, but here we are.
So you're putting the blame on the leadership of your party?
Absolutely. We control the House. We control the Senate. We have the White House. I've been vocal saying, you can use the nuclear option in the Senate. This doesn't have to be a shutdown. But what we have to do is we have to work for the American people. And our country is so divided right now. We see it all the time in every single way. It's divided in what I would say very dangerous way.
Now, one thing I do want to say is, Marjorie, you have contributed to a lot of the divisiveness in this country with your rhetoric. And that's the thing, is that I feel conflicted, right? Because at least finally there is a Republican that is fighting for their constituents. And one thing Marjorie Taylor Greene said is that 60% of the people that are calling her office is saying that their insurance premiums are going to double and they will not be able to afford it. I know that I don't know if they raise my insurance. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I don't want to go back to being uninsured. I don't. I like having decent insurance. I like knowing when I'm sick, I can go to the doctor. I like not paying out of pocket for blood tests, extremely out of pocket for blood work. I like having affordable mental health care coverage. And there are so many people who are at risk for losing their insurance right now because of this. And at least a Republican is finally openly saying, hey, we need to do this for the American people, but what about the rest of them? And that's the thing, is that Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the most batshit crazy, immature representatives I have ever seen. I mean, Lauren Boebert or Boebert, however the fuck you pronounce her name, those two, and Nancy Mace, those three women just really irk my soul in how they conduct themselves in Congress and how they push the propaganda. And I don't know if this is a form of her repenting in a way, because another thing Marjorie Taylor Greene is upset about is the Epstein files. That was the first part where you saw her kind of backing away from her party a little bit and splitting from the blind loyalty. But it's going to take more than Marjorie Taylor Greene. And one thing that is absolutely driving me crazy is the fact that these fucking I'm gonna just play this video. I'm just gonna play the video and we're just gonna watch. It's so performative. It's so performative. I feel like they're just gaslighting the American people with making it seem like they're going to do something that they're not. Hakeem Jeffries, I really, really wish he would step down. Or I wish, and that's what drives me crazy, excuse me, about the Democrats, is that there is a performative tough guy attitude, and there's a performative fight, but there's not a real fight. the big bullshit bill never should have passed. All this shit that they're doing now, they should have did then in the summertime when this shit was getting voted on. They should have held the line then. But to wait, and the problem is this is mid-October. Open enrollment for insurance starts in November. So a lot of Americans like myself, we're literally waiting to see what the changes are going to be. And even when I talk to like my insurance rep, it's like, well, we're waiting. And it's like the people in the field are waiting, the American people are waiting, and seeing fucking Hakeem Jeffries and another representative just argue and sit there in the Capitol building arguing, take a fucking vote. Stand up. And if this is about the Epstein files, because it all kind of leads back to these Epstein files and this Epstein vote. It's like between the Epstein files and cutting health insurance for Americans, this is the most non-functioning Congress I have ever witnessed in my life. And as somebody, like, I don't think nobody understands when I say, like, I really at one point was like a lover of the Constitution. I genuinely loved the checks and balances and what America stood for and the land of the free. But again, I fell in love with politics when Obama won. It wasn't just because he was Black. It was just for the first time you actually saw somebody come up and be represented. And I remember that was when Congress stopped functioning. Because I remember Mitch McConnell made it clear that he was going to fight tooth and nail everything that Obama put out there. And Congress has been so fucking petty since. And at some point, either these motherfucking officials gotta go, or we gotta throw the whole Constitution away and start over. Something isn't working, and it's not just the fucking congressional officials that are on break right now or that are shutting down the government. So I don't know. Every time I watch the news, I literally just think like, God bless America. But I'm really asking God to bless America because this shit is fucking crazy. It doesn't make any sense. On that note, I hope by our next Sunday sound off, Congress is fucking no longer shut down. I hope by this next Sunday sound off, we all still have our goddamn insurance. Who knows? Find out next time. Because everything in this country is literally a fucking cliffhanger. But as they may be leaving you hanging, I will not. I am Miss Megan Liana. This is Be Fucking For Real, the Sunday Sound Off. And it's the home of unfiltered takes, unapologetic truths. I'm going to see y'all next time. Right here, Miss Megan Liana, YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all next Sunday.